as Bitcoiners, this is why I'm so bullish too, is Bitcoiners gain more wealth, we gain more power, and we gain more influence. Having these are the people that are continuously maybe proved right. Primal is this ultimate sovereignty tool. Right there you get money and you get speech that nobody can control and you own. We had these problems and now we can fix them. My price prediction is that fiat dies and there's not going to be any price to price things in fiat. I'm 100% Bitcoin, I earn Bitcoin, and I spend Bitcoin. I mean, this is where we're all headed, right? Don't we think that Bitcoin is money? Let's use it as such. We made over $2,000 of Bitcoin, 2,003,000 sats just from having a baby.
I love that.
On Nostr, which is hilarious and amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
So extrapolate that on that. Like, explain for the average person, what you're building and what's happening in these different recesses of the world. There's these things going on that a lot of people just really aren't privy to. Like we said, I mean, they're not in this landscape, and we are all caught up in this fiat world at some point. So what are you doing? What are you building that you can make an assertion like that, I guess?
An assertion that we got $2,000 worth of Bitcoin on a social media post. Yeah, so I'm helping build Primal, which is kind of like Web3, if you've heard that buzzword a couple cycles ago. It's actually you on the internet, you own your identity and your content. And now with Bitcoin, the two open protocols, Primal is built on Nostr, and it works so well with Bitcoin. And you can earn Bitcoin on your posts. We got a wallet right in Primal that you can send and receive Bitcoin to. So it's like this easy way to transact value on the internet, which has been sorely missing from the internet and philosophized since day one. How are we going to do micropayments on the internet? And it's here today. And I can't believe it's not super viral already. I mean, it is in the Bitcoin community. We all know what's going on. But, and I think every single social media app will come after these zaps, which is what we call the micropayments. Like Rumble is adding a wallet to their app, and I think it'll be all over. X wants to be the everything app, but yeah, at Primal, it's already there. And it's built on decentralized rails that nobody owns, which is beautiful.
It's incredible. It really is incredible. Yeah. And because you get a lot of there's a lot of apathy in Bitcoin, or people that are getting antsy and anxious right now. Right. And that was where I was going with this earlier too, where, we're all humans at the end of the day, and people come for the number, go up, and they stay for the freedom. But that's what drags people in regardless. And even if you're in Bitcoin, you can't help it. You're human. So you're always looking at that marketing number. Hey, what's Bitcoin's price at? And so it was like, hey, how do you start taking some of these other angles of, Bitcoin's never going to go to millions. Again, kind of this angle of what we were just talking about to a degree of until people stand up and actually vote with their mouth, vote with their feet, vote with their wallet, vote with their social media platform, whatever it is. We have all these ways to vote now. It's not just pulling a lever at a voting booth, obviously. And that might be the worst way at this point. So how can Bitcoin's never going to 1 million. It's never going to go to 10 million. It's never going to do any of these things unless we do X, unless we are working on things that Paul is working on, and using things that people like Paul are building on. So that to me is one of those big things where it's I think one of the most dangerous things, and maybe here's part of it too, I think one of the most dangerous things is Bitcoin's inevitable. People just say Bitcoin's inevitable. And it's well, yeah, Bitcoin could work for thousands of years just on its own in a corner somewhere. But if humans don't care, or we've been brainwashed to think that it doesn't matter, and we just, government currencies are good, then it doesn't matter. It does not matter. So that to me, it's a human system. And I think that's where we get caught up sometimes, the old libertarian ethos of I'm just sitting back, screw it, I'm not voting, I'm not doing anything. It's well, hey, nature abhors a vacuum, and here we are. When good people sit back and do nothing, we see the consequences of that. So you got to pick one of the ways. You got to go. You got to go some way. So
yeah, and I'm a crazy person. I'm 100% Bitcoin. I earn Bitcoin and I spend Bitcoin. And that's why I kind of did that. I voted with my feet. I'm in Costa Rica now, just because life kind of brought me here. It was just, I guess, how it ended up. But I ended up in a Bitcoin circular economy. And I feel like I'm living in late stage Bitcoin already.
Wild.
Everything I do is with Bitcoin, whether it's the farmer's market, all my food, rent, surfboards, whatever is with Bitcoin. It's super cool because, this is where we're all headed, right? Don't we think that Bitcoin is money? Let's use it as such. And it's living down here, you simply see the benefit of it because your life gets cheaper. Like my eggs used to cost 800 sats. Now they cost 300 sats per egg or something like that. And that's
Amazing.
it. That's the story. Like Yuval Noah Harari, he likes to talk
Mm-hmm.
about money as a story. And the
Mm-hmm.
latest version of money as a story was the US dollar being the strongest story of money, because we had it backed by gold and now we have it backed by guns. But now we got this thing, Bitcoin, that's not backed by either of those, but backed by humans. And it's absolutely scarce. It's the discovery of absolute scarcity. And it's a better story of money because you get more wealthy over time. Simply. You can look at that simply, or you can be like, in the States and everything, it's like, okay, it's an investment. Its number's going to go up. I'm going to sell it when, or I'm going to buy this ETF. But I don't know, I've done a lot of traveling and going around in countries that are not as fortunate as the United States or first world countries. It's like, no, these people just need a savings technology so they don't get rugged by their fiat currency, because all fiat currencies go to zero. So it's fun to be able to live in a place where we get to see and feel and live and breathe what Bitcoin's all about.
It's incredible. If I'm not totally mistaken, your wife was pretty active, or still was pretty active on social media, correct?
Yeah, she posts a lot.
Yeah, and that's how did you guys get linked up? Like, did you guys start doing social media together a number of years ago, or were you guys doing that separately and then came together? Like, how did that story play out?
Yeah, so it's a fun story. We met down in Costa Rica, just a mutual friend, met in the street. I still remember it perfectly.
Wow.
And we just kind of both ended up down in Costa Rica, and we're like, we kind of like it down here. We want to stay down here, and started dating, and just ended up going to all these Bitcoin conferences. Now we work full time in the space. And her Bitcoin story is fun because she got to feel it go 0 to 100 real quick. Like there's all this Bitcoin philosophizing, but I used to have this job where I'd move refrigerators into college campuses, and I didn't have a way to pay her. And I was like, yo, look, just let me pay you in Bitcoin. And I don't want to deal with PayPal. It's going to destroy you in fees.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this, TransferWise or whatever, fees, blah, blah, blah. Let me just pay you in Bitcoin. The price is low. We're going to go back to Bitcoin jungle where we can live off of it and see what happens. And the price of Bitcoin was like 19K at that point. Wow. So she got to feel it, and and she spends it all the time. And yeah, we're living it down here.
The world is changing. Privacy, sovereignty, and freedom are no longer optional. They are essential. If you are still holding your Bitcoin on an exchange, you are vulnerable to your Bitcoin being frozen or the Bitcoin not even being there. In a world of broken trust, a fallen world, we need to be able to know through code, through math, that we have the keys to our wealth. We don't need to trust some third party. We don't need to trust some government. We don't need to trust some ruler on high that they're going to have our wealth and not censor it from us. Just ask European Union how that's going right now. And that's why at Foundation, they're building Bitcoin tools that are open source, privacy first, and actually simple to use. It's the only kind of Bitcoin crypto tools you should be using. The Passport Core is a Bitcoin-only hardware wallet, probably made in the USA. The only one that I know of, fully air-gapped, no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to compromise your keys, with a large screen, seamless QR workflows, and encrypted micro SD backups. It is here for the average person or the advanced cryptographer as well. Along with your purchase, you get the attachments, the USB-C cord, the iOS and Android attachments, micro SD card, and the USB-C cable. You don't have to go searching around for everything. You also get the free Envoy mobile app as well. You can buy Bitcoin straight into your self-custody. It helps you set up your Passport Core, label and track your coins, manage your keys, and do so much more. Foundation built the core and their company for sovereignty and freedom for all of humanity. You can take back control of your money and your digital life now. Get started today at foundation.xyz/Brandon, foundation.xyz/BRANDON, or check the link in the description.
It's incredible. I love that you said too, like the story, because I find myself saying this a lot too. Like life just itself is a collection of stories that 8 billion people tell themselves, right? Like I can't, I will, I won't. And it's like, if you say that, it'll happen, right? Like if you say you can't, then you won't. It's like one of my, one of those, old poems from back in the day that I used to have hanging in my room growing up playing hockey. And it was, if you think you can't, you won't. If you think you're lost, you lose, it's just like this. So I love that you say that, because you guys are a great example of doing that exact thing. Like we're living that life. And I think that so many people, and again, I know not everyone in the world can just move all of a sudden to some other place necessarily, but you are a great example of, hey, this can happen. It's happening right now if you want it. And I think that that's a phenomenal example. So I'd love for you to touch on just some more of how you guys kind of live day to day, even in some of the countries you guys have been visiting. I know you've been to whether it's El Salvador, you're in Costa Rica now. So just touching on what it's like kind of bouncing back between the old fiat world, or like, how did I live like that versus now?
Yeah. I guess for me, the real thing was connecting with Bitcoiners. That's what, there was almost like this little hole in my heart, say it like that.
Yeah.
I was looking for work. I got like a graduate degree in organizational psychology, and then kind of just started looking for work in the acting and modeling field, and never found like a deep connection with any humans. So, and then when I got to El Salvador in 2021 for the first Bitcoin conference, I met Bitcoiners, and I was like, oh, that's what I've been missing, like this deep human connection. And I mean, you can find that anywhere locally in the world now, especially with apps like Orange Pill app. You can just go look, find Bitcoiners near you. And that's like a regret that I didn't get involved earlier. And like now, yeah, we've been all over the place. It's fun because we don't really own much except for Bitcoin, the surfboard back there. We rent the house, whatever. We can go anywhere. And there's like a degree of freedom to that I absolutely love. And yeah, it does feel, out of all the places I've been, that this is the place where it's happening the most, even a little bit more than El Salvador, because of here was grassroots, like literally boots on the ground, orange pilling vendors before it just kind of caught on like wildfire, and we built more tools. And there's something to that, having it come from the grassroots as opposed to top down like El Salvador and whatnot. So, yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Yuval Harari as well, because I was thinking of, again, obviously, what was that, 2020, 2021, 2022, the big, you'll own nothing and be happy, you'll rent everything, stuff like that, right? And this big push that, really, most people don't even realize that they've been doing this for decades. It's not like that wasn't like something new in 2020, right? Like it was Agenda 21 initially, like 10, 15 years ago. Like it constantly changes this agenda that these huge global cabal organizations are running, and whatever the intelligence programs running in the background. But in saying that, like you said, I find myself doing this more too, and I think this is why it's kind of just struck me. Like you're like, yeah, we don't know much other than Bitcoin. We have the surfboard. Do you think they know us better than we know ourselves? Because I was a real estate guy. I grew up playing hockey, then I got into real estate for 10 years, and I've sold a lot of my real estate, and it went into Bitcoin, stuff like that. I'm like, this is just easier. Like this world's a mess. I'm not owning real estate right now. Yeah. And I find myself being like, oh, maybe they did know a little bit more about where the world is going versus than what we thought.
You think about it, like we're these complex monkeys, right? But we started as hunter-gatherers, and it's not like our DNA is much different or our brain's much different. It's like this new evolution of the human species. Like I think Balaji put it something like this. It's like we were hunter-gatherers, and then we were farmer warriors defending our land, and now we're digital nomads. It's like the next evolution, crossing borders and whatnot, flying all over the world. So we're just kind of figuring out how this is all playing out. And God, I don't want to own real estate. Like all the time something breaks here in Costa Rica. Like it's just it's what happens. Like, all right, can you please help me fix the dryer now? Thank you. Pinging your landlord. Like that sounds annoying. Whereas Bitcoin, you just kind of do nothing and let it sit and accumulate and get slightly more wealthy over time. It's so much easier.
Yeah. It is wild. Like I'm going to go back to Primal for a second as well. What are you like? What is really the big thing, driving you, your family? Again, I would love for you to unpack maybe just Primal a bit more and what you're excited about there and how you're seeing it have an effect around just the world in general. Again, people's wealth, because again, like we've talked about numerous times here, everything kind of comes back to that. I guess the big thing where I'm kind of going with all this, and just even the theme again of some of this talk is, sovereign people, wealthy people, sovereign people are hard to control people, right? And that's what the governments of the world are really, privacy, having, humans having privacy, sovereignty, liberty, freedom, all these things, wealth. That's not good for governments. Like they don't like that because that means that you aren't dependent on them. So this is what the founding fathers in America knew. That's why they limited government so much, or tried everything they could for the first time in human history to really limit, because they knew inherently that's how governments by people operated. Like it's just, that's how human governments work. That's kind of how they have to work in a way. So that there's not incentivized to be at the behest of the people. So
Yeah.
a lot to say there,
Primal's,
but yeah, I would like.
yeah, it's a lot. I'm gonna forget everything that just came to my mind, but like Primal is this ultimate like sovereignty tool, because right there you get money and you get speech that nobody can control, and you actually own it. So right now, one piece of the social media that landscape today, like we were talking about, Bitcoin has only been around for so long. We're just seeing this thing evolve. Look how short social media has been here.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's
Yeah.
all been captured by these huge companies. But the evolution of social media, we're evolving with social media as well. And right now it's all been captured. And the social media companies, what are they? They're just literally proxies for the government. Like they can, they have to bend the knee because they're these countries and they own all the content. When you're posting to a protocol like Nostr that Primal is built on, you can't control what's being said. Nobody can take down somebody's ability to post to the internet. So like, I mean, what's that going to be? It's going to take a long time for everybody to move over to Nostr, and maybe it's just a small set of sovereign individuals that do so and find their communities that way. I don't know how it's going to all play out, but it's like this ultimate freedom tool packaged in one, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is incredible, and like you said earlier, I don't, like you don't know how there aren't millions and millions and millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people already using Nostr, using Primal. It kind of boggles the mind a little bit, but again, I know it's only been a few years. You guys have really been jamming on this stuff, obviously, and Bitcoin itself has only been around 16 years. So, it's hard at times as we get in our echo chambers and it's like, this is so obvious, but like the average person is just not there yet. But I guess in saying, yeah, I mean, do you think it's going to be like, I guess I feel like if it's going to be education, it's going to take a while, right, for people to be educated to come this way. Unfortunately, like Black Swan events, like whether it's Canadian trucker stuff or things getting. I think I just saw some protests going on in the Middle East right now, and people in Turkey, and people getting shut out, social media blackouts, and then these Black Swan events come and like force people's hand, and then you have to learn really quick, and the bad things are happening. Like how do you see? Do you think it's a yin and yang, and like it's going to be a little bit of both over time? Like how do you see people starting to really learn?
Like, I mean, just as Bitcoin's best marketing tool is number go up.
Mm-hmm.
Primal and Nostr's best marketing tool is social media censorship and blackouts.
Yeah.
And whatever. Because like, I mean, should the global town square be owned by singular corporations? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like our best marketing tool, and that'll continue to play out over time. And when people have had enough, they'll come over. We're like Naval said that that Nostr is a credible backup for when X is inevitably seized or banned by governments. We're here, we're building.
Yeah.
So come over whenever you're ready, but we're just catching up in terms of features for all the other legacy platforms. We got to find out what Primal actually is. There's blogs on there. It looks like Twitter. But what's the reason for people to come over? Maybe it's just Bitcoiners in the beginning. Maybe it's the place where people go to learn about Bitcoin and get a feel for the Bitcoin ethos and what's actually going on. And because Bitcoiners are the first people to adopt the protocol and are on there, we have the power to like shape a little bit of the narrative and what gets reposted and what's the information that gets spread. Since there is no central algorithms on Nostr, we are the algorithm. The humans are the algorithm. And that's a huge piece to it all that really fires me up, because right now algorithms are just black boxes. Even the companies don't know exactly what's going to be fed to people, and they're all based on this ad model. So it like just wants you to just stay on the screen scrolling. Another piece that gets me fired up about it, and like I think out there today the ethos of like social media is not healthy for you is getting very strong.
Yeah.
I just saw, I'm going to watch a video after this. It was like 1.2 million views on YouTube about like why everybody's leaving social media. And like my friends last night, we were having a conversation. They both got ad blockers, or they got app blockers for Instagram and TikTok. Why? Because they know they're just wasting their time on there, scrolling. And so like, what is this alternative where the algorithms are transparent? Where it's actually just humans reposting and like to make things trending, as opposed to companies with their incentives sending you the content. It goes deep.
It goes really deep. I would love for you to unpack it even a little bit more. Like, what is the average person missing when it comes to some of these things? Because again, I feel like the average, even a lot of Bitcoiners, like they don't understand how deep it really runs and how insidious and sinister some of the, whether it's algorithms, people have come in. I don't know if it's, I always heard that Daniel Kahneman, the guy that wrote Thinking Fast and Slow, came in like the 2000s and was advising the big tech companies of, again, like the like button and all these things, and just like how to really suck in the average person. And you just don't realize what's happening without, until it's too late, until it's 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And then we have all these, like you said, problems, or, but it's like anything else too, right? I mean, a car can be a good or a bad thing. It can run people over, or it can
they're
get you
all
from
tools.
point A. Yeah, they're all tools. Yeah.
They're all tools, and social media is a damn powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame that they're all captured by these, like I said before, by this big tech that's got their own incentives. So yeah, what Primal, we're focused on building a tool that maybe like my goal for Primal would be for people to get as much information as quickly as possible, then leave the app and go touch grass. How do we do that? How do we make an app so good that people will pay for it and get the information they need and be able to leave and go do real world things? Like these things suck us in so much, and it's not healthy for us. So how do we build a healthier social media? And that's exactly what Bitcoin did for money. So I think Nostr can be a healthier social media, just like Bitcoin is a healthier money. What did Bitcoin do? It took what it learned from gold and digitalized it in the digital age. So Nostr, all the apps built on Nostr are learning, or have at least the ability to learn from previous apps what made them good, what made them fail, or what made them like unhealthy or addictive,
Mm-hmm.
and change that and learn from it and move on. Like this, it's not been around for that long. So we're moving forwards. And now it's cool that we have this example where we get to build from scratch and get to see what failed and build from that.
That
and
brings
then
up
I'll keep going.
Keep going.
The introduction of zaps. So a lot of times when I'm scrolling, and I'm guilty of this too, like I'm only human. This stuff is like evolutionary, like mismatch when you see like something's like I can't help but watch.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't zap that. So like just because you're watching content doesn't mean it's actually valuable or something that needs to be shared and repeated over and over again. What would you actually zap? So zaps are like, it factors into our algorithm at Primal if you zap something, and that helps like gets shown to the network. What would you actually zap? You wouldn't zap this addictive, slop content that keeps getting fed to you. Like my Twitter feed is atrocious these days. Yeah. So there's another piece to it.
Yeah, and that it brings up, it just made me think of this. It's like, how have you guys found the way, or just different ways, or I guess even just thoughts of like, hey, maybe we could do this to fight that negative sharing that's on social media? And that, like, like Nolan Bowerly always talks about, right? Like it's the legacy news corporations are dopamine dealers, right? Like they're drug dealers.
Yeah.
Like they just light your brain on fire, and that they found that that's the magic pill, whether it's social media or legacy news, to negative, pit people against each other, light your brain on fire, make you mad. Like how do you fight that? How have you guys found
But the thing is, that stuff does not get shared organically.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. And you feel it on Nostr. Every time so I've spent quite a bit of more time on Nostr now than other social media platforms. And you feel it more as you spend more time in this organic network. Yes, it's way smaller. So like, I don't know what's going to happen when it gets mainstream and actually gets real adoption. But you feel the other platforms try to suck you in with all they can. They play all their cards. They're watching your eyeballs, seeing what you're paying attention to. So how do we fight that? I don't know. But what's going to happen organically? Like you said, they're literally drug dealers. I like to make the comparison of like Nostr is grass-fed butter, whereas other social media is just like freaking seed oil. Like this stuff is chemically engineered to addict you and be delicious. And so it's like, it's hard to, not lend your attention to it or eat it, right? And it's addictive. It's hard to stop. You got to make a conscious effort not to consume it.
It really is. It is that sinister, where it is designed to, like you said, like you don't even know why. It's funny, like when I go on Instagram once in a while, which I fortunately don't very often, and there'll be like something I have to look up for the business or do something, and I'm like, have to tell myself like, okay, you're going to the search bar, You're not going to get sucked in by any of the videos in the search
Dude,
thing.
the search bar.
It's crazy.
I hate the search bar.
Oh my goodness. It's like,
because that's where it's playing on the little backside of your brain, your little reptilian brain that's just like, oh, what am I going to look at? Mine's full of surfing. Sometimes it's got boobs on there. It's like, it's embarrassing. You know, it's like, come on, stop, guys. And
it's
then,
impossible.
So with Nostr, it gives you way more control. Like, look at what's on when I open Primal, I had it, I put it on this feed, stay focused, champ. Like, so I don't,
I love
it's
that.
just like little things like that little bit of control that we can put into the app and let users, you know, control their experience more. It's like, why isn't every app like this? And maybe they'll lean towards that. But still, the fact that today's day and age, you are posting in Zuck's world only, and that's the only way we can communicate is in these little boxes, doesn't make any sense. And it's time to evolve past that.
I think the big thing is there's this, you know, different camps of people that they talk about Bitcoin itself, or, you know, like a Nostr and what you guys are building a Primal on top of Nostr, where it's just going to be a check and balance forever. And there's always going to be this old legacy social media. There's always going to be, you know, this government fiat currency. And the best we can hope is that it's a check and balance against this other thing. What positive vibe or a positive hope can you give the average person that, hey, we're going to make it, guys. We're going to pull the other 97% across the finish line, and Bitcoin will be the only money someday. And it's and we will be using Primal, and everyone's going to be using Primal and these other clients that are only on this freedom platform. Like what sense do you get, maybe even the growth over the last few years, like what kind of positive information? Because I know some Bitcoiners, you get these fights where like they you know, you get in the doldrums, you get negative sometimes, you're like, oh, it's never going to happen. So what have you guys been seeing just in the background over the last couple of years as you've been building?
I mean, it really does come back to the human, and this is just it's a long-term game. Like, it makes so much sense to me. It's like, come on, guys, what are you doing still on these other platforms? Like, let's go. Come on over. But how we're going to do it, I have no idea. We just have to be there for when people are ready. And slowly but surely, it's going to become more and more obvious. And it's just a matter of being there, being ready for when the waves come. I don't have anything incredibly bullish or optimistic to say, but besides that, like, we're here, we're not going anywhere. And it's getting better by the day. Even Bitcoin's getting better by the day. Like, it's getting easier to use. Like, I mean, here people are accepting Bitcoin. They don't even know it's Bitcoin. Like, it's just this thing. It just goes check mark, done. And that's the UX we're all going for eventually. And I'm personally not even convinced. Be careful of how I say this, but like, the Bitcoiners that are going to hold their keys and be completely sovereign individuals, that number might be small. But the tools for everybody to get exposure to Bitcoin and start accepting it and everything, those will continue to increase. Whether that's through like this hub and spoke model with eCash, or even just like the custodial wallet that people are using here. It's all these bridges that are there for people when they're ready to learn and go deeper and become sovereign individuals. But at the time with Bitcoin, it's like, it's still, even if it's held self-custodially or not, you're getting more wealthy over time, and your savings are not deflating or inflating away. So, yeah. And there's also this concept of the social media bill of rights that one guy who's been philosophizing about social media since before social media existed. He's the guy who hired Jack to Twitter that I'm obsessed with. That, like, his thoughts, because he's been thinking about this stuff for so long. His name's Rabble, and he's got this social media bill of rights. So I'm hoping that continues to proliferate, because everybody knows social media is broken. Maybe not everybody, but people feel it, and I think it's catching on more and more and more. So as that continues, and the bill of rights, I'm going to forget all of them, but one is algorithmic transparency. One is the ability to exit. Right now, if you wanted to, like, Trump got kicked off of Twitter, what do you do? He had to go build his own platform. No, whereas if Twitter didn't want Trump to be posting on Twitter, he could have just moved somewhere else if it was built on Nostr, and that's powerful, and maybe the way it should be. The other is privacy, and I'm forgetting the other two for now, but yeah.
Everything you are learning in this episode is completely moot and does not matter if you hold Bitcoin and are still leaving it on an exchange or sharing keys and your KYC information with a third party. This is your wake-up call now. You are only self-sovereign if you alone hold the keys to your wealth. 100% self-custody sounds daunting at first. Believe me, I lost 2 years of massive gains over a decade ago because I was worried about taking the few minutes it took to understand self-custody. And that's exactly why you need to talk to my friends, Tony Yazbek and his team at the Bitcoin Way. We just interviewed Tony recently, has over 80,000 views, an overwhelming response. People love his story and the simplicity he shares of how easy it is to custody and take ownership of the greatest money we've ever seen. They'll train you to do it right the first time. Head on over to thebitcoinway.com/Brandon to schedule a free 30-minute consultation today. Their 5-star rated service is exactly what you need. Quit sitting on your hands like I did and get started today. Again, that's thebitcoinway.com/BRANDON.
What do we have here? 12-word seed plate. After a long wait and everything being sold out, this is now here, the 12-word seed plate. For those who have been asking, store your generational wealth in titanium forever. Do not make the mistake of storing it on paper. This can withstand fire, nuclear fallout, wind. We've driven over it. We shot hockey pucks at it. We've checked it. We've thrown it. We've done everything possible. Do not pass down your generational wealth on paper. Put it in titanium. Go to stampseed.com. Put in code Brandon, BRANDON, for 15% off store-wide. Do not be a statistic. Show your family how much you love them. Store your generational wealth forever in titanium. Code Brandon, 15% off store-wide. It's really interesting because I'm going to go check into that because I had not seen that before. I've not heard of that. So somehow. So I'm definitely going to check into that. So where do you, obviously one of the big things lately as well, I would love for you to just touch on this and what you're seeing in this world and maybe how the intersection of what you guys are doing with the decentralized ID. Obviously, there's a lot over the last 10, 15 years really ramped up, that health passports, all these things that we're kind of fighting and that are coming into lexicon and being pushed from top down. And there's the good angles of these things. There's the bad angles, obviously, from the state. So how are you seeing this playing out in your world, and what are the things that can be done to help with this?
Well, it's funny because there's been a lot of talk about decentralized identity and what's actually working today. Whether or not Nostr is the best solution for this, it's actually becoming adopted. So there's going to be 3 options. It's either the state is going to give you an identity to transact online, corporations are going to give you the identity to transact online, or you can do it in a decentralized manner, something that you actually own. Nostr, I don't know I'm not that big into the DID space or anything. I'm not the expert on that, but it's actually working today. So how do you verify someone's human? What if someday in the future, you have these trusted accounts, they're the people that verify they're human, and maybe you go collect verifications from other people. There's one option. So it's really interesting, especially as AI is going to continue to explode. You're not going to know what's real, who's real online and whatever. These verification sites is one way to do it. Or you upload all your eyeballs to WorldCoin or whatever. So, there's a lot of different attempts at it. And I'm not, that's is Nostr and Primal and these sovereign individuals, is it just going to be a small section of the internet? Or is it going to be, how big is it going to proliferate? I don't know. But we all have our choice. And maybe people can leave their centralized worlds one day when they wake up to it. And we're going to have this other opportunity and welcome them with open arms and teach them the ways.
Yeah, it really is wild. Sam Altman definitely wants your eyeballs. That's for sure.
He wants your eyeballs. He wants all your data.
He wants everything. He wants that. Yeah. The eyeballs, I think, are just the start of it. I think he wants even more than that.
Think about it. Elon openly says that he wants X to be WeChat, pretty much.
Yeah.
He wants X to be the everything app. But what does that mean when he owns all the infrastructure? And you got to upload your government given ID to transact online. Blah blah blah. Yeah. It's a slippery slope. It's going to be China. It's with WeChat. 100%. Or it's going to be Primal, the everything app built on open protocols with the identity that you actually own.
Honestly, Paul, I wrote an article 3 years ago on my blog, and I honestly don't know if I ever published it, but I have in my drafts and I screenshotted it just so I could timestamp it that I had written the article at a certain point. And I don't know if I ever got around to publishing it, to be totally honest, my blog, but it was about the slippery slope of Elon Musk and how so many people had come to his side. And to be totally honest, I'm completely on the fence with the guy. I'm 50-50 with the guy. You can convince me that he's the greatest man on earth, and you could convince me he's the worst man on earth. I honestly have no idea. Don't know the guy. I don't know, but
neither.
It's fascinating because you look at it and as I've been thinking about, you just kind of tick something off of me because, hit a nerve because I've been thinking about him a little bit lately. And, it's we're going to Mars, he's trying to do all these things, yet at the same time, like he gets a lot of government grants, right? Like he gets a ton of federal funding to do these things. And the free market, if the free market really wanted to go to Mars, or if we really needed to do these things, like, whatever, the self-driving cars and all these different things, then wouldn't the free market be pushing you to do that? Would you need government grants? Would you really need these things to happen? That's the thing. Those are some of the things I really don't understand, where it's just like, why are we pushing so hard to do something? And one man controlling all of these different factions, like you said, like he wants to become the everything app WeChat. It's like, how is that a good thing when one guy has control of so many, like your thoughts, Neuralink in your head, or space travel,
Neuralink thing.
Neuralink, like, how is, like, explain to me, like I'm 5, how that's a good idea that one guy has control of all these things. Then he's also allowed to go around and, like, MF everyone in the government, and like, but that's okay. And he's fine to do that. But like, we get censored if we do that. It just, but again, at the same time, someone could tell me, hey, he's the greatest guy on earth. He's so smart and blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like,
Teslas are rad, man. Teslas go fast. I like it.
I mean, it's a whole different discussion, I guess, for a different day. I don't know.
I guess the way I see it, for at least with the X thing, and it is kind of spooky with the whole Neuralink thing, but the X piece was, I think he's probably ideologically aligned with Nostr. Of course, if he's a true free speech absolutist, like, you have to be aligned with Nostr. But
right,
buying X is the shortcut, because it's already the global town square, and it probably will be. There's something special about Twitter that might always be the global town square, but it was a shortcut to get what he wanted, to have the political influence, to have this big microphone to the world. And he's a genius. So I mean, it's hard to bet against Elon.
Smart. Yeah. 100%.
And who knows? But it's definitely the shortcut.
Yeah. It is wild. Like, what are your thoughts, I guess, just in general too, of, you always think of, and I just had on Brian Mancata the other day, and we talked about this, and the CEO of adspend.com, and he's really been orange pilled the last year or two. And a lot of his content now, he's a, multi-million-dollar digital marketing company, and marketer, everything, and really smart dude. But a lot of his content now is shifting towards talking about Bitcoin. I got a lot of existing people that follow him, and they're like, dude, shut up. Like, I don't care. Why are you talking about Bitcoin now? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nah, if you know what I know, like, you're morally required to talk about this now. And so we had a good conversation about that. And it's funny because we talked a lot about humility, right? And a lot of these incentives of, like, it shows, do you grok Bitcoin or not? And if you do, and you're, you have to, like, you feel morally compelled to start talking. It's like, I have the cure for economic cancer. Why would I not tell everyone about this? Right. Or free speech, what you guys are building. This is the only path, like, Primal might be the only, building on Nostr might be the only way at some point to get information around the world. So fortunately we have that, because if X goes down, some centralized thing, then we have this ability to still communicate, which is what I think is upholding the freedom still that we have around the world to an extent.
Yeah, that's what Twitter always wanted to be, was a protocol. Just this thing where you don't have to ask permission to send information to the world wherever you are.
Yeah.
It's simply like, that tool needs to exist. It can't be captured in corporations anymore.
What are you guys doing? Maybe someone who's not as technical, how does that, like, what you guys are doing, and like how Nostr works even, and could you explain that even just for the person that's not super savvy? Like, I know Jack Dorsey's got things he's working on, has been talking about this stuff for a while, obviously, even with Twitter, like you said, the original intention of some of these things. But how can people be building on top of this, like, and what you guys are actually doing? Like, how can people start coming in and utilizing even the existing networks or old networks to start layering in on the protocol? Like, I would love maybe just a couple minute explainer on just kind of how this works, how people can help.
So before I scare people, you hop on Primal and it just feels pretty similar to Twitter. What's going on under the hood is like this decentralized, very simple protocol that makes it just work. So instead of you creating an account, an email password, asking for permission to post within these boxes, which is like this legacy of social media, you actually own your identity. And what does that mean? Just like Bitcoiners should already be familiar, your identity is a private key and a public key. And then what makes Nostr decentralized is you post your content to relays. Relays are just servers. So every time you make a post, it goes to multiple relays, which ensures decentralization and therefore censorship resistance. So your content won't go down. And it's just about that simple. And if you're a guy that's saying things that might get you banned on other posts, there's like ways to do it where, if you want to host your video on your own, You can just host it on your own, and people can go access that information. So like it's not dependent on any central party to get your word out there. And it sounds kind of complicated underneath, but the simplicity of it is what makes it work.
How do you so how can people come help you guys? Like how can people build on Nostr? Like are there things that you guys need help with on Primal? Like how does that work?
So that's the other beauty of the whole ecosystem, because it's all open source, because it's a protocol. If somebody makes Nostr better, we win. We can implement a feature. So at Primal, our job is to listen to the users and what do they want, right? They say they want live streams. So we just built live streams into the app. So now you can live stream on there. Bitcoiners love to hop on, podcasts and live stream it out. And now you can receive zaps for your live streams. How freaking awesome is that? And that it's, all new too. But so our job is to see what the users want and build the specs for it. And the specs usually are already there. They're called NIPs, just like Bitcoin has BIPs. Mm-hmm. We got NIPs, Nostr improvement. So like we can just implement all that. And it's all open source, so we all get to learn from each other. And if somebody didn't like Primal, all of our code's open source, and they can go use it and create their own app. It's beautiful. And another cool, like, who knows what's going to actually scale Nostr? I hope it's Primal. I think Primal's like the rising tide that lifts all ships. And we're getting a lot of new people into the ecosystem, and they can play with it from there. But maybe it's another app that just goes super viral. Maybe there's this new messaging app that is decentralized, secure, unruggable, and it's called White Noise. It doesn't work all the way yet, but it's a chat app. Maybe that goes viral, and the next thing you know, people are using Nostr and they don't even know it. And that's really what's going to make it win. Like, people aren't going to come to Primal. Maybe it's because it's built on Nostr, it's decentralized, secure. They're going to come for a certain reason. Right now, a lot of Bitcoiners are coming because there's a lot of Bitcoiners there. I love it because all my friends are there. And it's social media. So, of course, you're only going to come over when your friends are there. But it could be like BitChat, Jack Dorsey's newest thing that he's working on. You heard of that, right?
Yeah.
Sending messages over Bluetooth. He's got this Nostr component on there, so people don't even know they're using Nostr. And just the fact that like you don't know you're using the SMTP protocol when you're using email. It's just email. It just works. Right. You just use your client's Gmail, not AOL, Yahoo, whatever the heck email clients are these days, and they're just using this email protocol. So email or protocols, open protocols win. So it's just a matter of getting the apps on there, using it, and the whole ecosystem will just lift each other up. So when Facebook was originally getting a lot of traction, there was a point in time where all the developers wanted to work on Facebook because that's where the users were. And then they closed their walls because Facebook wanted to get all that attention for themselves and monetize it. Nostr, there's no walls. It's all open. So when there's more users here, all the developers are going to come here, and there's already a huge amount of developer interest for building apps. And then I think it'll just have this massive snowball effect when and there's a lot of users here, and then people are going to be developing apps and trying to make businesses on it because the people are there. It all helps each other.
Yeah, and I mean, in you saying that too, it really makes me think about just again between Bitcoin, what you guys are doing at Primal and building on Nostr. It really feels like we're 10 years, 20 years out. Like the more I talk to everyone, I mean, from what you're doing, I just talked to James Lavish the other day. I mean, like I get to, I feel very grateful because I get to talk to people in all kinds of different spaces. Right. And so the cool part is you see all these different angles of thought, whether it's like we're talking whatever macro and it's like a demographic shift. A lot of it is what I'm getting at is just seems like demographic shift, like the older generations, it's just how life goes. They sunset. The silent generation is largely out of power for the most part. Maybe some of the last ones are leaving power. Then you have the boomer generation, but it feels like 10 or 20 years where like the younger generations, they're not going to be doing 401ks and, all these, ridiculously antiquated legacy, options and like, again, they're not, our kids aren't going to be using Facebook, like they're going to be like, what were you guys doing?
My kids not using Facebook. That's for damn sure.
So it's like, it's funny because like we have to live through the day to day and it's hard to see. And we're, you're building, you're tinkering one day at a time.
Sometimes
and it's
it
just, yeah. And it's a grind. Right. But then like
coming back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast, I forget exactly what you said, but it's like, you have to believe it too. You have to like actually
you tell
see
yourself.
it. And there's the story. Yeah. If you tell yourself a bad story, it's not going to happen. So I'm just sitting here in bullish land, like always just like trying to vision, like if I have a negative thought, like, oh, Primal's not growing fast enough, that doesn't serve me. And that goes with everything in life. Just chuck those negative thoughts aside and live with those thoughts that really do serve you and go from there. Makes for a better day, better life.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I mean, again, it is your life and just everyone's life, and the world is a collection of stories we all tell ourselves. So I think it's just an incredible theme that we have to think about. In saying that, living in bullish land, like let's get your thoughts. Let's get your thoughts on price, because that's the thing everyone always wants to talk about too. We got a lot of the meat potatoes. We talk about things that are important that help, because this is the thing. At the end of the day, like we said, you were saying this earlier, like price is what brings people in. That's like the fear and greed thing that bring people in. But at the same time, what happens though, and this is what gets dislocated, I think, with people a lot of times, is all this building, things that you are doing with Primal, people building on the Bitcoin protocol, like all these different protocols are being built on. That's what creates the value. People employing more hash. Exactly. Yeah. People create the value. We are literally the network. So people they get lost in the sauce of like, oh, what's this sovereign wealth fund doing? It's like, well, that's great, but at the same time, that's them deploying their energy, their capital into the network. You are deploying your time and energy. I'm deploying my time and energy. That's what makes the network stronger and grow. So I think that's an important thing to note when people talk about price, because it really is it's a reflection of what's the value of the network and what's the energy being put into this network. So, so in saying all that, what are your thoughts just on where we are in the market? I feel like a lot of people are antsy right now, and just in this bull market. So I'd love your thoughts, one, on the bull market and where you kind of think we stand and where you think we're going, maybe timeline, and just, is it going to extended, the 4-year cycle? So we'll start with that. And then I want to ask you like a longer term question after that.
Okay. Well, I have a strict no price predictions policy.
I like it.
Yeah,
Smart
I
man.
have no idea. But like you were just talking about, I vote entirely with all my energy into these decentralized systems. That's my price prediction.
Yep.
All my energy, all my wealth, everything is into this. So do I think my price prediction is that fiat dies and there's not going to be any price to price things in fiat?
I love that.
Like, what else are we here for? Yes. I don't know. Like, there's so 3%. Much talk about stable coins today, but it's like, what's the stable coin built on? This thing that's shit. It's built on nothing. That's what I don't see. Like, why are we? What is so much going into stable coins? Like, so that's my price prediction, is that there's zero fiat denomination. Yes.
Do the math.
Yes.
And it's
when you that bullish land this la land that I live in has completely changed my life. And this is why I think, Bitcoin does a lot of work to you, because without even a significant amount of Bitcoin, I just was like, screw everything. I'm leaving home. I'm confident enough because I own my wealth and nobody can take it away from me. I'm going to go search for a better life, search for a meaningful life. And just that confidence, how Bitcoin works on the soul, is why I'm bullish on Bitcoin and therefore bullish on humanity. Like, I don't know what we'd be doing without this tool. And if somehow it doesn't work, at least we got a band of brothers that
we got community.
We got community.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And ironically, that's the number one thing in a survival situation is community, right? It actually isn't Bitcoin or food or water or even or gold and silver. It's community. It's who you know around you to shore up your weaknesses. So that's a very understated thing that we don't talk about probably enough. That's why Bitcoin community is so important. What you're doing in Costa Rica, obviously, and people going down there, living down there, going to conferences. These things are very important, extremely important.
Yeah. Person to person, it's just, there's something mystical that goes on. It's way deeper than even connecting online like this. Like meeting in person, feeling it it's the people that are running this thing. It's people that made it, and it's people that are keeping it maintained, and it's people that are using it. And one by one, same with Nostr, one by one.
So true. So I'm trying to think of how to phrase this other part, this long term. Like, again, I don't want to say price, because again, like it's eventually going to zero. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. So like the thing I always try to ask people is like the long term, because I don't care for, like, you can't say a nominal price and a time frame. Like it doesn't make sense. But like, I think the best way to look at it and maybe we do have the answer already from you, but it's like Jeff Booth always is like, hey, it's got to account for every dollar in the system, basically, right? It's got to account for all 900 trillion or 1 quadrillion in assets or whatever. And then you have like a Jack Mallers who says it's 1/2 of every trade, so it's 450 trillion is the total market cap. But in saying that, I would imagine you align more with the Jeff Booth side of like, hey, it's got to account for every single, like Bitcoin is money, and therefore the money has to equate for every dollar in the system. Would you agree with that? Is that kind of how you see it, as like, hey, Bitcoin is going to go and account for all of it because fiat's going to zero?
I think so. I mean, there's reasons. I mean, you study the history of money, it all converges to one.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. Like, I'm not big market analysis kind of a guy, but I think it'll all converge to one over time as we build the tools, make it better, make it more decentralized and secure, as Jeff Booth also likes to say.
Yeah. So that's a great way to like kind of put a bow on that too, because that's exactly what you guys are doing, which is pretty ironic to a degree. So,
it needs to get used. And I use Lightning like 100 times, not 100, but maybe like 20 times a day, on average.
Yeah.
Like, and it takes the humans to consciously port their energy over like if you're spending 1% of your time on Nostr today, spend 2% tomorrow. And then just little by little, more and more of your energy there, and there. And like, same with Bitcoin. If you and your friends are still using fiat with each other, just start using Bitcoin a little bit, like zap each other back instead of using fiat for, like, if you get hired, ask to be paid in Bitcoin, or pay your friends in Bitcoin. Little things like that strengthen the network and set an example for those coming into it.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because in a few weeks I am going to talk to Jeff Booth, and that was the angle I wanted to take with that. Was it's funny we're talking about this because, again, it's like the story you tell yourself, because I felt the same way. Obviously you did, where it's like you had this old world, and I fired myself. The team I had a real estate team, had numerous people that worked for me, and I fired myself. So in essence, had to fire everyone else basically and say, hey, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Like, I can't be here anymore. I need to be in the Bitcoin world and putting my energy there. And it's funny because Jeff Booth a couple years ago really started saying that, and I was like, holy cow, that's exactly how I felt and what I was doing and going through. And that same transition he was going through, the same transition you went through, where you're like, whoa, if I'm giving energy to this old system, that's the story. I'm signaling to everyone like, oh yeah, this system is legitimate. Like, this old world is real legitimate. And you're like, whoa. So again, I'm trying to think of the best way. I kind of lost how I was going to ask it, but that's the angle I'm going to take with him. It just, even the show of like, how do you live? I guess that was more of the story. I want to kind of ask you this question too. Like, how do you, because again, the average person is like, well, I've got a nice job here. I've got 3 kids here. Like, everyone has a story. Again, they tell themselves of why they can't do X. They can't go live in Costa Rica, or they can't live on a Bitcoin standard. They can't, there's some reason. Oh, it's taxes. Oh, I've got to, my accounting and cost basis. So it keeps them from making that switch and putting their energy fully in the new system. So I guess, what is your word of advice? Just, with making this switch?
Show up, go support Bitcoin businesses, go support conferences, go find local meetups and meet people and strengthen the network. It's quite simple. And I'm super guilty because I was on the sidelines for like 4 years, completely on the sidelines, and then just started kind of talking about it, tweeting about it, and then found like, we all have a role in it, whether it's just orange pilling your grandma or, just your neighbor, whatever it is, we all have a little role in it. And actually, even with Nostr and Bitcoin, of course, it's the hand holding, like when you're onboarding, priceless. So much different than watching a video and just following the instructions, being in person doing it.
So true.
Yeah, it's almost that simple.
Yeah, it really is. You touched on, I want to segue really quick back to, we talked about the, you can stream now, stuff like that. I would love for you to just unpack that for an extra second. Like, that really piques my interest. Like, I've been trying to figure out better ways and learning Primal even more because I love it, and just getting more consistent with using it, putting our content on there, and spreading the content on there. Because I know there's a ton of people. I know a lot of Bitcoiners, again, that they aren't on anything else. They're not on Spotify. They're not on YouTube. And so it's like, hey, how do we provide more content on the platform. There's numerous guys that do a really good job of it. Obviously, Lynn writes a lot of stuff on there. Walker has a ton of stuff, ton of content he puts on there. And I really admire those guys for doing that. So that's the thing.
Primal's job too. We got to make the experience. We got to catch up to YouTube, to Twitter, and that's on us. That's how we see our role, and that's how I see my role. I mean, I'm obsessed with this thing. I love that. So I was in Costa Rica while we had the first Nostr conference here, like literally in my backyard. It's like, okay, that's here. I'm going to that, of course. I've been following the drama of why we might need to go to a protocol instead of these platforms for social media. But yeah, it's on us to make better tools. Like, it's hard to post large videos on there. They don't play very well. So yet you can't start a streaming event from Primal. You can do that with other apps, which is also really cool. The fact that if you start a stream on what's called zap.stream, you can see it in Primal, you can see it in Fountain, you can see it in other Nostr apps like Amethyst and Nostr. This open protocol, so you can see it all like rise together, and it's really cool. Then you can view the content how you want it. But yeah, it's just a matter of consciously getting more of your time there. Maybe there's some tools that we need to make it easier to cross post, because the masses are still on the other networks. We don't want to just go too far in a corner. But until that corner just becomes the place to be. And maybe it will be the place to go for new people getting into Bitcoin, where you hop on, you get a wallet, you can use the thing right away, and you see what Bitcoiners are thinking and post about, and you get to learn. So it's up to Primal to make it a tool for that, and like have it be the place for new Bitcoiners as well. And I think that's part of what Primal is now, and a big strategy for our growth too in the future is to have it be the place for newbies to come. Because like, when I got into Bitcoin in 2017, I was in the Reddit. It's like going through all these Reddit threads. And then it seemed like the conversation really moved to Twitter. And now it seems like the conversation's moving to Nostr. And look at Jeff Booth. He doesn't post at all on his Twitter anymore. He's only on Nostr. So that's how you're going to reach him and get his attention now. So
there's numerous guys. And
then Jeff, Odell, Gigi.
Odell, Pablo. Gigi. Dr. Jeff, Gigi. Jeff Booth. So it's so and I think that's going to happen. I think the next 4 years are really going to speed that up. Obviously, we talked about price being one of those things. I really think this next cycle or so, we'll say maybe by 2030, again, you have people getting older, their wealth increasing. I think you're going to see a lot, like this huge swarm of Bitcoiners that came in, let's say between 2017, 2020, or like in 2021, maybe that 4-year cycle. Obviously, people that accumulated a certain number of Bitcoin, they're going to start becoming wealthy, very wealthy. Right. So like they will have time to do these things.
What else happens with that as Bitcoiners? That's why I'm so bullish too, is Bitcoiners gain more wealth. We gain more power. And we gain more influence. I mean, we already freaking rigged the election. So having these are the people that are continuously maybe proved right and gain more influence monetarily with their wealth, and everybody's screaming Nostr is, I think the network effects are eventually going to snowball and more people are going to come over. There's actually in the Merriam-Webster dictionary now, there is a term called enshittification. And it's the process. It's like literally, it means whatever, I'm going to blow it. But basically how every social media app's going to shit in search for profit. So as more apps enshittify, literally in the Merriam-Webster, people are going to find Primal as well.
And this goes right back into this demographic shift, right? Like the younger generations aren't going to put up, they're already not going on Facebook, right? They're already starting to go away from even Instagram, right? Like the older generations are on some of these old apps, and it just will keep moving. And the younger generations, our kids, only see Nostr, Bitcoin, Primal, like some of these protocols or these apps, these clients to use.
So, like, are your kids going to know fiat? Well, maybe they have to a little bit, but like baby Maya,
they know the difference.
She's not going to know anything.
No, she's not. Yeah, your little one won't. Yeah, your little one will not. Mine do, some of the older ones, but like they know the difference though. They know, they absolutely know big time, like what the difference is at 9 and 7 years old. So
Before we go, you got to give me some parenting tips, Mr. Father of 4.
Oh man,
I'm 2 weeks into this thing.
There's economies of scale at some point. Once they do get older, they start helping you. So there is.
That's what I heard. And then if you have an army, like 4 of them,
exactly.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. They start helping.
So that's the goal.
That is the goal. And you gotta pour into them. You gotta, which I know you will do, and Bitcoiners do. They pour into their kids. Unlike the fiat world where it's like, oh, my kids are a liability, and like, oh, whatever. I was like, well, you're gonna get out what you put into them. So you better put some good stuff, spend the time with them, and pour into them, because you'll get out what you put in. So that's another huge lesson for people. But
and how do you even schedule your day? Are you like with?
To be totally honest, Paul, I mean, this is why I was helping Aladdin with Bitcoin trading cards for the first couple of years. Once I got rid of my real estate team, and I couldn't even do that anymore and give him the time needed, just because I was so busy with my family, and we're homeschooling the kids as of a couple of years ago. And so it's pretty crazy. And my wife is an attorney, so we're pretty mobile, and we do kind of like half week, and then but we both homeschool with the kids in the morning. So it's a challenge, but it's the greatest challenge, obviously, right? Like it's you get to spend tons of time with your kid, and one of us is always home with them, stuff like that. We just didn't want them sitting in cinder block walls for 8 hours a day and not going outside for a couple hours a day, and
getting radiated by blue light, and
getting radiated by blue light, or one or two of them have to go to daycare
and program,
and other it's just like, why am I letting other people raise my children, type of thing. But it goes back to, like we said, like a story you tell yourself. Like, there are trade-offs. Like, you might not be able to go on 5 trips a year to Cabo San Lucas or Costa Rica or wherever in the Thailand, but it's, is it a long-term gratification, the low time preference of, hey, if we do this for 10 years, 15 years, we're going to be much better off for it. So it's, so fortunate a lot of Bitcoiners doing that and seeing that. So the world, like you said, very bullish. I mean, in 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to have a very different world between the demographic shift and the Bitcoiners' kids, and the wealth Bitcoiners have, their kids being of age, and the demographic shift. It's a very bullish time. And we live through the day-to-day now of just kind of like, how does everyone not see this? But
how do you see it playing out, though? Do you see it as like this fragmentation? Is like us are going to be like in a corner somewhere, or like, little nodes, little citadels, or whatever you want to call it, little like friendly countries around the world that we can go, and there's this other like land where it's just not that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I do see it fragmented, but I think that it's, I think bad thing. I've said this for a long time, really 15 years, probably 20 years, but bad things are going to happen. Worse things are going to happen until it gets better, unfortunately, and until people really wake up. It's kind of like all the things we talked about today, right? More black swans. Like, some of these things are going to happen where it's like, hey, these bad things happen because we've made these choices for so long, going the wrong direction. Like, again, this is a different talk for a different day, but I truly believe that fiat money is evil. Like, I believe that there's good and evil spirits, around the world every day, fighting 24/7. And if we choose one side versus the other, you get the ramifications and downstream effects of that choice. Yes. So you choose evil, you choose fiat currencies that literally are evil by nature, stealing.
I mean, similar to you, like, the only thing I ever pictured myself doing after learning about Bitcoin was like, this is the only thing that seems like meaningful and worthy of my time to give my energy to. Like, and it's not going to be every human. Every human has like this other thing that might call them. Like, I used to work for Paul Saladino, and he's like big in this diet thing and health and everything. It's like, that's his calling. Yes. My calling's this. And we need like people like me and you to do this whole thing and talk our asses off forever and just keep making content about this magical internet money.
Literally.
So it's not going to pull everybody the same way, but
it doesn't. And that's kind of one of the things too. Like, I think about a lot. It's like, how do you talk to the average person? That's what I was talking to you before. Like, how do you talk to the average person, and how do you peel away a couple of percent of society and appeal to each different person, each different situation, right? Like, everyone's literally in these different situations, telling themselves these different stories. So how do you reach them and pique their interest and say, like, there's something there. Like, we all came to it in different ways. So how did we come and find it? How did we, like, why were we inclined to see Bitcoin and have the light click and see Nostr and like these different things? Like, why did it click for some people and why doesn't it for others? And
I guess, I mean, a piece of it for me is like, I guess because I went 0 to 100 in Bitcoin, like I graduated from grad school and I was like, how am I going to get rich? I'm just going to put all my money in Bitcoin. And I understood compound interest. So I was like, okay, I'm never going to sell. Wasn't much, but like, so I was already 100% Bitcoin. So it forced me down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So, and then once you start learning about it, but not everybody has that same skin in the game. Like, before, you had a bunch of real estate, and it's like, that's how you're going to make your living. That's what you care about, because all your attention is there. If like currency is attention, all your attention is on real estate, then you might not see the Bitcoin piece, or you might not want to see it because you're going to be wrong. And it's going to be painful. You're going to learn like, if I did just put all those houses into Bitcoin, like, I'd be in a much better place right now. And it's the same with
and it goes back I'm sure you see it down in Costa Rica, but I mean, like, shoot, it's a problem here still in America, right? Like we don't have enough people swinging hammers, right? The people can't work with their hands.
Dude,
They're too good to work with their hands, right? Like you can't find contractors, skilled labor to do things because everyone's a fintech bro, like like, what are we doing here? Like, we don't need 300,000 more MBAs this year. We don't need another 250,000 lawyers. We don't we have 100 times too many of those people. And that's that humility part where it's like, we've gone so. This is where I go back to the Elon Musk thing. Like, we've been incentivizing and giving grants and all these subsidies for people that, like, why are we doing that? Like, going to Mars is cool. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a little kid, but why exactly are we going to Mars? Like, what problem is that solving? I don't know what it's solving right now. Like, is that solving, like, homelessness here on Earth? Is it solving, food? Like, I don't know what it's solving. Why, what is so? You kind of go down this road of, like, the free market's just continually not able to tell the market where people are needed because we keep subsidizing and inserting ourselves into the market through these subsidies and different, whatever. So now no one knows, like, oh, I didn't know we needed, 100,000 more skilled labor across the country. We, where it's just, we're so backwards, and you can't, how do you, unless you, like, again, get off that Titanic and get onto the life raft and humble yourself and realize my job, like doing Bitcoin podcasts, shouldn't be, hopefully won't be a thing 10 years from now. And, like, I have to understand that. I'm hoping it's not a thing 10 years from now, but it's like, you have to be okay with that. And I stopped playing hockey. I retired in my prime because it was long-term thinking. Like, hey, I can't keep doing this. I'm going to keep getting hurt. And I want to be, working when I'm 40. I want to be able to, like, think and play with my kids when I'm 40. And again, I know a lot of people that it's like, nope, it's all I'm doing. This is what I was born to do. And it's like, guys, we got to have some humility here and realize, hey, maybe it's the world telling me I'm needed somewhere else. And I just think we've completely lost the plot with a lot of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I graduated college with zero skills. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
What did I just learn? I played baseball in college. Tons of debt.
Yep.
No real skills.
No skills.
But I mean, we got a great time.
yeah.
But the experience of doing business, like, that's everything.
It's incredible. What do you, really quick, I was going to ask you this earlier. What do you, so, because I've had people, ask this over time. I've heard people ask this, like, what's the difference, really quick, for someone who's like, oh, hey, like, I've got Signal or I've got Telegram, like, give someone a quick rundown of how and what you guys are building at Primal and how that's different than, what Signal or Telegram or some of these, well, Signal's got encryption or, like, so I would love for you to kind of just break that down really quick, just for the average person.
Okay, I'll try, and it won't be perfect, but I do have a Gigi quote. And if you don't know Gigi, he's only on Nostr. So primal.net/Gigi. Go find his wisdom, go find his website, and go read about it. I was literally just listening to a podcast about the difference between that Nostr messaging app, Signal, and Telegram. And the key is, if you build it right, you won't go to jail. Why did the Telegram CEO get stopped in France? Because there's backdoors. It's basically that simple. If there's a way to unencrypt content, then you can be in trouble. But if there's no way to do it, you're not going to jail. So It's about that simple. Yeah. And Primal, so Primal's a business. So we have a terms of service. Like, a little bit of a common misconception is that it's like you can't ban anything. But, like, if CSAM gets uploaded to Primal, we got AI models that'll get that off our servers because that's illegal. So, like, but the key with Nostr is that we cannot take away, because we don't know your password. We don't know your private key. We can't take away anybody's ability to post. And that's where the magic lies. So whereas we may have to be compliant one day for little pieces, that's fine, because they can just take their audience somewhere else. And there's nobody, they can spin up their own freaking Primal because it's all open source if they needed to. So if you build it right, you're not going to jail. That is
very good to know.
Yeah,
that is very good to know. What are your thoughts? So again, this is one of the questions I want to ask you, and we just kind of went around this whole thing, which is great. The banks freezing assets in the European Union and they got the CBDC they're trying to really push there, obviously, and that's all kind of coming to a head here, I believe, in the next month or two, and they're really trying to push the stuff. And again, they're trying, we had bail-ins, in Cyprus, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Now we've got it coming again, and they're trying to take their citizen savings. That's the world, the dystopian world that people are going down. Like, how do you guys, with Primal, what you're building, how do you see yourself as a part of that fight of giving liberty and freedom to help people that are around the world? Because this is a global thing. This is not just, it's America or someone else. Like, this is a global thing that's coming for everybody.
Yeah, well, like, if shit hits the fan, we're here. There's Bitcoin. You can take all your wealth and secure it privately so nobody can take it from you. It's that simple. And now you have a voice that nobody can take from you. And you can get an audience without asking permission. And there's this tool that exists now to spread information without a corporation being in between us. It's beautiful. The corporation that owns and controls the distribution and can silence people. So, like, I think all of this happens naturally, like nature gave us Nostr, nature gave us Bitcoin because we had these problems, and now we can fix them. Like we saw in the COVID times, and everybody's getting censored and whatnot. Why? Because all the information was going through these third parties that had an agenda that had to bend the knee to governments. No longer. So this is just like the natural evolution of these things. As we figure out problems with our systems, we create better ones. And we're going to have to, what's that Bucky quote? It's like, we need to obsolete those old systems. You can't improve the legacy systems. You need to just build systems that make them obsolete. That's Nostr and Bitcoin.
Yep.
And we can have fun doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just like this dark pirate world. No, we're just like, you go on Nostr, what gets zapped? Me having a baby. People building their farms out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. There's a huge like permaculture scene on Nostr, and people are like, oh, look at my harvest today. And everybody's like, oh, nice.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's just like, you can live in this doom scrolling world, or you can just come bloom scroll and see don't you find that like all the Bitcoiners are all optimists?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I have people tell me or talk to me, and they're like, hey, I hope because again, this is what I generally talk about really for 25 years of my life. I'm again 39 now, but it's since I was young, and it's like, don't, whether it would be my grandmother or someone, like, just, don't worry. Like, these things, your kids like, well, someone's got to worry about it. Like, clearly no one's been worrying about these things. So that's why we've gone to hell in a handbasket. So like, I have great hope though. We have great hope because we actually have an answer. Like we have an answer now. Like, we're the guys with the answers. Like, none of you people have answers. You're telling me to vote red versus blue. Like that ain't an answer.
Exactly. No, it's not. You need to build a new system.
Oh man, just absolutely wild.
Man. Fun time to be alive though. That's for sure.
It really is, Paul. Honestly, like this is what a time to be alive. We get to kind of go through it again. Like my one hope is that I'm trying to think, because we're going to win, because we're going to put in the work and the effort. It's only inevitable because there's enough of us who get it and will die on that hill, and we will see it through. And that's why it's inevitable, because we have truth on our side, and there are people that will fight for truth, and we're recruiting more of those people that see it. My thought is going forward, and I don't know how much time you've given this thought yet, with only two weeks ago becoming a father, but thinking down the road of, will our kids get it? And it might not be even our kids. Maybe our kids do, because they're closest enough to it, but maybe like our grandkids, because this is I go back to like George Gammon has had this debate with Jeff Booth numerous times. I've debated with Gammon on like Spaces numerous times, like years ago, 2-3 years ago. And his thing was always, I get what you guys are saying, but his belief was that like another fourth turning from now, like say 80 years from now or 100 years from now, humans would keep making the same mistakes. And he's like, well, tell me how I'm wrong. Like, we've only shown the same mistakes. We just keep making over and over because, say it's our grandkids. They didn't go through the Canadian trucker event. They didn't go through all these things. So now it's like, oh, it's just so easy. You guys want some utopia. Like, how are humans going to learn and have the hard, truths and wisdom? So do you have any thought on that at all? Because I've gone down this road numerous times, and that's my one thing where I'm like, how do we, it's going to be Bitcoiners are going to figure out a way to really hard code that hopefully into human beings going forward, but we got to figure out a way. I don't know a way yet. I don't know if anyone does, but.
Well, there is that whole cycle throughout history of like centralization, decentralization, and things become better. We start trusting each other, and then maybe we start trusting each other too much, and you centralize and it fails. And so that's a fantastic question. And just with the rate of technology, who freaking knows, man? Maybe we don't even need the internet. We're just all become Amish again, and
It's so funny you say that. I've thought that. Yes, I've had this thought many times because my mother's even joked about that. She's like, between you and your father, you're driving me back to the Stone Age. Like I'm going to be Amish at some point. I'm like, well, I mean,
dude,
so yeah,
it's coming back to maybe some truths.
Yeah,
like we're humans, we're animals. We need to live off the land. We feel better when we're outdoors in nature.
Fulfilled. Yep.
We feel more fulfilled. I mean,
yep.
You look at people's happiness scores when they have a garden through the roof. So it's almost like this just return to being human. And there's something about Bitcoin. You said how it's a foundation of truth. Like, what does that like extrapolate to? Like, what happens when we're actually on this foundation of truth? Are we going to be able to communicate better with other monkeys and other nations? Is this the thing that's going to bind us together? That's my optimistic view, is that we'll be able to talk to each other and cooperate and trade better with each other when we're all on this foundation of truth. We have a movie about Bitcoin Jungle coming out pretty soon. It's called Hummingbird. You can find it at primal.net/hummingbird, our trailer. But it kind of makes that case. The whole premise of the movie is that there's this ancient prophecy that the eagle people is how it's defined. The people of the north are more technology focused, and the condor people like more spiritual people of the south are coming together. And it's prophesied that would come now if we put the effort into it. And we argue that Bitcoin is this medium of reunion. And we argue that Costa Rica in the movie, it's a really good story, is the place where that's happening now, where these people who used to live off the land and these people like from the north are coming here. There's a lot of expats here. And now we're on this similar playing field with Bitcoin. And it's my hope that humanity does get bound together and trust each other more, because we're going to be on this foundation of truth, which is Bitcoin. It's like the first piece of verifiable truth that we came up with, really, Yeah. What does that do to all of our brains?
Right. And I think this is where I go back to, and maybe I love your thought on this too, where you have a lot of the, I empathize with both sides, and it's tough because you have like the number go up status, right? Which I empathize with. I'm 50% of that. And then the other 50% is like revolutionary, like don't let the government get their hands on Bitcoin. Well, it's like, well, you got a Trojan horse somehow. I got to get inside the walls, guys. Like, let me in.
No, but even just that, like, how else do you unify humans unless they have the same incentives? And if they all are incentivized to have number go up too,
right,
then that's like good operating software.
Exactly. And it's built on truth.
Figure out how to make this system thrive, because we all have skin in the game, and we all need this thing to thrive so we can take care of our future generations. And maybe it does lead us to this hippie wonderland of we don't need money anymore, because we all trust each other now.
Yeah. And because it does, I mean, if we, at the end of the day, this is where I go back to, because again, I empathize with both sides, like whether it's the cypherpunk side, like don't let governments, stay as far away as possible. And then also like, hey, the Trojan horse has to get inside the walls somehow to defund the government, start changing them. Because it's like, at the end of the day, if we believe Bitcoin is what we think it is, and it stays, like you said earlier, like Jeff Booth, stays decentralized and secure, and we uphold that, then it should do what we think it will do, to this whole point of it will start changing all humans who interact with it. Right. So therefore we would have to believe it starts changing government, because government is people, a group of people inside that government. Right. So if they're starting to get changed, like all of us, then hopefully, like you said, the end goal would be, maybe it's some type of more, communal, thing, or where 8 billion people can communicate better and we don't need money someday, or, something like that. Again, I know it's, utopia on Earth here is a hard thing to think about, and we're not saying that, but it's like, how can we get to another, like a type 1 species, right? Where it's like we can communicate differently because we're not stealing from each other day in and day out through fiat fake currencies, right? So
exactly, well said.
Trying to sum up
that's what we're here for.
Talk.
Like, don't you guys get it by now? Come on.
It only took us an hour and a half to get there. I mean, come on, guys, like this is easy.
I mean, my normie friends, and like everybody in the States, you talk about Bitcoin, it's kind of cringe, right? Like they just think you're just this guy who wants to get rich or something, right? But no, it's like, guys, we need this thing to get us to the next place where you guys all want to go. Or like, there's a lot of hippies out here that think, well, it's like fiat money is that the actual evil. It's not just money is evil. It's fiat money is maybe the root of all evil. And that's why we all have this negative connotation towards money. It's like, yeah, I want to just have this local circular economies where we can just trade and barter with each other, whatever. But how do we talk with people outside of our thing? Like, how do we get the resources that we can't have locally? We need money for that, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think that
Did I lose you? Okay.
I think I couldn't agree with you more. I think fiat currencies are the root of all evil. It's the love of money, not money itself. Like you said, money is a tool. Like it's all money is. It's neither good nor bad. Mm-hmm. It's just a tool. And because we've blown money up and it's not actually money, it's a currency. Yeah. It has a lot of evil ramifications. It has a lot of, I always look at like the oil spill, like we create this oil spill up the river. So it's like, well, of course you're going to have all these downstream effects because we chose to, punch a hole in the side of the building and let it flow into the river. Like that's on us. Like we chose to do that and let that propagate and happen. So you're going to have a hell of a time trying to, siphon everything 10 miles down the river. And like, well, my plants aren't growing well. It's like, yeah, like you fertilizing your plants now, you're doing dumb stuff, trying to fix a thing that isn't going to change because upstream, there's 10 miles of, oil flowing down. You got to stop the thing at the root cause. Like you can't,
even the root cause of that is probably high time preference thinking.
Yeah.
Like how can I solve a need for now and not think about 100 in my future generations, my grandkids, grandkids. It's 100%. All these decisions we make. And that's again, having this Bitcoin thing get to the root cause of maybe what's wrong with humanity is just that simple piece of thinking long-term. We've lost that. It's like, how do we, and even just down here, the way I like to think about it is like, maybe people will stop eating the seed oils and Coke if they realize that they have money that's going to actually go up over time, make their families more wealthy and secure in the future. Maybe they won't spend their money on bullshit and make them unhealthy or like pleasure in the moment in terms of like, as opposed to just saving. That's my thesis.
I couldn't agree more.
Community is the number one most important thing in a survival situation. And newsflash, you're human, so you're in a survival situation. October 10th through the 13th is your island retreat. Camp Nakamoto, brought to you by Mass Adoption. I will be speaking there. Nellie Brunel, Mark Moss, Larry Lepard, David Foley, James Lavish, BJ Dichter, Luke Broyles, Michelle Weekly, and many more will be there to have fun. Lots of games, activities, Kettleman's Feast, crab bakes. There's going to be everything you can imagine as a beautiful part of Northern New Hampshire. We look forward to seeing you there for 15% off tickets. Gentile 15, Gentile 15, Gentile 15. There's only a couple dozen remaining out of the 100 plus that were available. So get them now. We look forward to seeing you in October.
In saying that, real quick, what is your? I would love your quick thoughts because I know you stay in shape. You're very active. Just health, very health conscious. What is your daily just regimen? I guess what are what are you guys usually eating? Your activity. What does that usually look like?
Yeah, so every morning I go surf. That's for so many reasons. That's just the best way to start the day. You get your grounding, you get your sunlight, you get your exercise, you get your community. It's all a lot of fun. Yeah. I do go to the gym every once in a while, but I really hate the gym, but I have a good gym habit. So if I don't get much movement, I'll just go to the gym and show up and move a little bit. Yeah. And then we just eat real food. I've gone through waves with the diet thing. I've been kind of strict before. I've been not strict. And right now I'm not strict. I just eat real food. And then I can literally go buy food at the farmer's market with Bitcoin and just eat that here. So eating local and seasonal is probably, it's not even probably, obviously that's the way we're supposed to eat. What's growing near you? Beef is always in season. Simple. Yeah, just eat real food and you're going to thrive. Be outside most of the day. I'm outside now. And the way my house is set up, I'm outside most of the day. So I'm getting light, which is one of the biggest inputs on our biology all day. Your circadian rhythm is super important. So spending time outside is essential. And dude, I can't even stay up past 8 p.m. here. It's insane. There's something about Costa Rica. I don't know. That just locks you in the circadian rhythm. So
that is crazy.
It's funny because I work in tech now, and I think that's the most hilarious thing. What do you do? I work in tech. I just awesome. Chuckle at that. As a guy who doesn't even really like tech, I think I don't want people to be on their phones, on their screens very long. But at the same time, the tools we have right now are just, they need fixing. So it feels like my calling to be here and working on Primal.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Are you guys doing anything with Orange Pill app or anything? Or is there any type of, thing you can do with them or partner with them at all? Or is that
Yeah, so we actually did. We were doing like some co-marketing. I think we're going to keep doing that.
That's right. Okay.
We gave everybody in the app. If you haven't checked, there's a message there with 2,100 sats for y'all.
Yes.
And it's cool because Orange Pill app is going to make events. Their events on there. They're going to make it a Nostr event. So you won't be able to only see the events in Orange Pill app anymore. You'll be able to see them on Nostr clients that support that type of event on Nostr.
That is
so
cool,
eventually we'll probably integrate that into Primal. And Orange Pill app's amazing because you can see the Bitcoiners in your area. It's something I always look at right when I get to a new place. Like, all right, do I got any friends around here? Because this Bitcoin network is very strong and it gets stronger when we meet each other. And there's something about meeting Bitcoiners that's priceless every time. That's always worth the time. So we'll continue to work together.
So it's incredible.
And that's another example of how Nostr apps help each other too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We
really
all get better over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because you said something a minute ago about and it made me think of earlier of us just like how again we're supposed to be locked into our circadian rhythm, and it's how we were supposed to be, eating local, eating foods right around us, seasonal. Obviously, that's all you could do for who knows how long, right? And now it's like I think of these different social media. I forget what we were talking about earlier exactly, but it made me think of like these different towers of Babel, right? Like all these different things, and people always think it's like one event where it's like, oh, look what they did in the past. It's like, man, every day you could be building 1,000 towers of Babel every single day. Is it like we were talking about this Neuralink thing? We're talking about all these different things. Like, are we meant to do that? Like, is that supposed to be? Like, how far away have we gotten? Like, we make the Amish comments, right? Like all these different things, and it's like, who's to say? And it's like you have to be very careful because the stories you tell yourself, again, kind of the theme of the talk of you have to be careful because what's relative to you just because you were born into it, is that the right thing to do? Like questioning, everything, even the existence of God himself. One of my favorite quotes of Thomas Jefferson, like if there is a God, surely he'd appreciate that over blindfolded fear of, hey, get better, grow, learn, understand what you're doing, increase your knowledge base instead of just sitting around being like, oh yeah, whatever, I got it, I'm good. And I feel like that's just that apathy is what, again, fiat perpetrates that apathy across the spectrum as well of like, well, I'm good. I'm out of formal school, so I don't have to learn anymore. I don't have to do anything. Where's my paycheck? Where's my entitlements?
I was waiting for that, but it never happened. Yeah, I mean, I know as humans, we're not supposed to be here all day scrolling. Right. We got to change that. And then the other thing I got to show it too is this like daylight computer. This thing, I mean, it just reflects light, and you can look at it like an object. So even just like the little things, like the text tech that we use. Like our computers, it's emitting this alien light that's not evolutionary appropriate. Like you got to think of everything from the ground up, that humans are animals and we need to live in nature. And that's what's going to make us healthy and live a long time and be able to get to hang out with our great grandkids, which is the goal, right? Just play with our kids.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh, so incredible, brother. I literally could talk to you about this for hours. Any last thoughts, anything we haven't covered, Primal stuff, whatever, Bitcoin stuff, where can people find you? I could keep doing this for hours and hours. But where can people find you?
Well, primal.net/Paul. Go find me at Paul in the Jungle on all platforms. But if you have any Nostr questions, hit me up. And if you came to Nostr Primal from this podcast, just tag me and I'm going to send you some sats because I can and I want to. And it's fun. I think we've covered everything. Like, I don't have any more nuggets to say. Hit me up with some parenting advice, everybody. New chapter of my life. So
that's amazing.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, Godspeed to you guys. That's incredible stuff. Mr. Paul Keating, thank you so much for joining us here today. Incredible story, incredible work you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you again, brother.
All right. Thanks, Brandon.
If you like that episode, then you're going to love the playlist we put together for you with our most recent podcast with the top Bitcoiners, sound money, liberty advocates in the world. Go check those out here. We'll see you inside. You're going to love them.